It's time for Milberger's Gardening South Texas, live from Milberger's Landscaping and Nursery at 1604 in Bulverde Road. During the next 2 hours, our experts will help you with your gardening questions when you call 210-308-8867. That's 210-308-8867. Or come by Milberger's during the show and have your question answered in person. And now it's time for Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Easter. Welcome to our Easter edition of Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Unfortunately, I won't give the phone number today since we are pre-recording today, but we hope you are having a wonderful Easter with your family and loved ones. I'm here with Dr. Calvin Finch and Mark Peterson, and I am Alex Escobar. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, Alex. It's going to be a wonderful day.
Absolutely.
It's supposed to rain, and that's wonderful to me.
Well, it was supposed to rain heavily yesterday, so of course, we won't know until.
I had a picnic lunch with some of my former coworkers at Solids Conservation today. And Karen was there, and I was talking about that, and she's going, yeah, but it was supposed to rain last week, and the week before, and the week before that.
Yeah, that's right. It's easy.
And I did laugh.
It's easy to get discouraged, or if you've gone through this for 7 years now. So, and then the forecasts have been so discouraging. But, I did an article on what's booming, and it is kind of amazing, even though it's dry and we haven't had a reasonable rain. There's some pretty exciting blooming plants out there that are kind of fun to examine. The Mexican honeysuckle started to
did it
bloom? Yeah, gosh, yeah. And of course, the hummingbirds love that, and the hummingbirds are in town. I haven't seen a ton of monarchs yet, but I keep expecting them. We made our mistake when a couple weeks ago when we saw them, and then 2 days in a row we saw that big, beautiful monarch, and we haven't seen any since. But they should be here. With the migration has started, and everybody. That's kind of. I don't think the milkweed situation is very good. Not a lot of. Although a lot of the milkweeds did make it through the winter, but they're not in shape to handle a lot of feeding caterpillars.
A lot of activity. No.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a whole lot in the nursery either. There's been some, but I don't think I have even seen the tropical. Have you seen the tropical?
No. That is a little strange because usually we have the tropical blooming at this time. And it's of one of the favorite nectar sources. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But we do have enough in the landscape. Another one of the plants that's blooming pretty heavily right now are the blue curl. I don't know, Alex, are you familiar with that?
I don't know.
It's a wildflower that we kind of hadn't done much, showed much interest for years.
Not for years. It's just a recent phenomenon. And Alex, the flowers are blue.
They're blue.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And it grows in the sun or the shade.
I would have never guessed that they were blue.
The blue curl, what?
But it is kind of hard to get the seed. It's not always...
Well, it's hard commercially to get the seed.
Correct. And what you have advised is... find a neighbor because it does produce a lot of seed.
Yeah,
that's its benefit.
And it'll be producing. It started to bloom now, and it'll be producing seed within weeks which is kind of amazing because it's one of the reasons we like it so much is that it blooms over a long period. And during that period, it'll also be producing seeds, so you can get ready for next year for sure. We'll just get latching on to the seed as long as you've got a neighbor. But our one source commercially.
Yeah, I was going to say, the one source that we have found is Native American Seed in Junction.
Yeah.
And they seem to have a good, consistent supply of it. So I recommend that.
It's kind of shrank. There used to be a number of them, suppliers that had it. But now, it's, as far as I know, they're the only ones. But yeah, you're right, and they're easy. It's easy to.
It's easy to go. You just go on their website and or call them direct. They have a lovely phone staff, and it just orders them up. I like to go on the website because they have a wonderful booklet. That's included within their the website. It's part of their website, and just page after page of information and plants.
Their catalog.
Their catalog. There you go, catalog. That's what I'm saying.
But when we call it a catalog, I think we undersell it because it does offer all of their seeds and the things they sell, but every quarter it's got some really wonderful topics. Like. It might concentrate on native grasses one quarter. Always has a lot of information on butterfly plants and pollinators.
So they have both grass seed, which I like, and forbs and flowers and things like that. So it's a wonderful source. I encourage you.
Book lists. They always have a book list there.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
At the end of the catalog, if you will. Lots of resources, and I heartily encourage everyone to look that up. It's Native American Seed, and they're located in Junction.
Yeah, they've also got a retail outlet at New Braunfels. So another dealer or wholesaler that we deal with quite often and is easy for gardeners to deal with is Douglas King Seed Company. They're in San Antonio, and they're our chief supplier of the Zazodi milkweed. So that's the one native milkweed seed that really doesn't need a stratification usually. Although this spring it hasn't performed as well as we've expected at most years that it has.
Maybe they know something. Maybe it's not going to rain for a while.
Well, and it's consistent with the difficulty in taking charge of that milkweed situation. I don't know. I think those monarchs are just do it on purpose to keep us. Now, one thing I really haven't checked on, and Mark, I don't know if you have or not, the Wild Seed Farms. We generally list them as another supplier, and of course we've for years relied on them for wildflowers. Yeah. But I keep mentioning them as a milkweed supplier too. I guess we'll have to check them out and make sure what they're that they do have a good supply, and if they got anything special, and we'll, of course, today is not the day to do it, but we will, in the near future, we'll need to see what gardeners, what kind of experience they've had with the Wild Seed Farms, too, on the milkweed issue specifically.
And I was there a year ago, about this time, and but I was looking for just wildflowers. So I should have looked for milkweed.
Yeah. Well, Milton and I 2 years ago planted a bunch of their seeds, their mixes to test them. Yeah, the pollinator mix and the regional mixes, and boy, they did wonderfully.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was looking for, and I got some. In fact, around our neighborhood, I gave them away to neighbors.
Oh, that's right.
For Christmas gifts and things like that, and they were outstanding.
Then, if I remember right, Alex, then we were trying to get him to come across with his share of the supply, and he'd already given it away to him. So
they make great Christmas gifts, stocking stuffers, folks.
Just so folks plant them and don't just set them in the drawer.
Right.
I keep finding some of my seed that has sat in a drawer for 6 years or 5 years. In fact, I planted some, and some of the what is our favorite? The pods that we eat.
Yeah. Now I lost it. It's sugar snaps and snow peas.
No, how about the okra?
Okra. Oh.
Oscar okra.
Oscar.
I found an old supply of Oscar okra, and I planted several rows of it. And one of the rows, every single seed I put out grew, and a couple other rows, not a seed came up. So I must have crossed the line. I must have had some 8-year-old seed along with some 2-year-old seed, because okra has got a pretty long life. The seed does. A lot of those big seeds do. And then I have found some tatuma, and I planted that. It hadn't germinated.
Yeah. I'm experiencing an issue with my green beans. I put out what I thought was quite a bit, and I've only gotten 3 plants so far.
But they did come up. You remember I tried the green beans.
Yeah.
And didn't have any.
Well, I'm watching. I watch it daily and thinking that maybe a caterpillar or something would those stalks. Thinking of you in the past.
Well, the one thing that did come up was cucumbers, and those seeds I got from Milberger's, and just this year. So every one of them came up too. So lots of action in the vegetable garden still, and the tomatoes are. I saw my first red tomato.
Oh my goodness! But which one? Small or large?
Small.
Okay.
Small.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, and but all of them seem to. I did see some damage from the wind for sure. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure my total crop will be reduced and it'll be slowed down, but still, it looks like it's still we're going to be able to harvest the crop before the hot summer gets here.
Well, that's excellent. What other vegetables? I'm thinking about that. What other vegetables would you be planting?
I've got some carrots growing and beets and English peas and lots of greens. Kale and Brussels sprouts.
Right. Yeah. So I went to the nursery this morning to see what they had for transplants, just in preparation for this evening's taping. And they had some squash, and they had lots of peppers. Alex, I want you to go back and get some more peppers.
I will.
Oh, yeah, the peppers are doing
fantastic.
well, too.
And they had a few spinach and cauliflower and collards. So the collards, made me think of the kale and other greens that we've talked about in the past. So you can still put those out. Always run the risk of greens getting a little bitter as it heats up.
Uh-huh.
But I think you still can do it.
Even the Crawford receding lettuce, which is growing up a storm, has had a little bitter taste to it. Still good. I'm still, every time I walk through the garden, I pick some and eat some, but I've noticed that That is not quite as mild as it was, and it's it's only April 1st.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's today is the 5th for Easter, or is that the 4th?
Easter's the 5th.
5th, okay.
Okay.
So, even if your Crawford lettuce has gotten, it will eventually get a little less mild. Still use it in cooking, and some of the plantings will be better than other plantings. But don't forget, you want to let it go to seed, so that it can deposit the seed. So
hence the Crawford reseeding
lettuce,
and that's kind of the cool feature of that. Now sometimes it can get away.
Yeah,
that's why we always want to do it in a container, a tub, or a whiskey barrel, or something like that.
Well, just every time you mention that, I get that smile on my face because I remember KSAT and Steve Brown. You talk about getting away. Every direction you looked at KSAT had the reseeding lettuce growing in every sidewalk crack and every place.
I went by a couple weeks ago. They've strengthened their security around it, and they have a fence and everything like that. But I thought, I smiled because I thought, well, it's the fence to keep the Crawford lettuce in, not to escape anymore.
Did they have any guards with machetes or anything?
No, it was pretty it was pretty open yet, but I just thought of that. I saw the fence and then the reseeding lettuce escaping everywhere.
Well, and the beets finally have produced some. This was not the greatest year for beets. I don't think. We'll have to check with other gardeners too. But I think that's pretty.
No, I think
consistent.
so too. I was going to even ask you about other spring crops that I usually keep a list, and turnips was on that list.
Oh gosh, they went crazy.
Did they?
Oh no, I take that back. I was thinking of rutabagas. I've got I'm overwhelmed with rutabagas.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm coming over to get some.
Yeah. If I had in the old days, like in Minnesota or Michigan, we would had the cellar, the vegetable cellar, where we would keep those big rutabaga heads and keep chopping them up, using them in recipes all summer.
That was one of my mother's favorites, was rutabagas and parsnips. And turnips. She liked turnips.
Yeah. What did she do? Did she use them with fancy recipes or pretty simple? Simple
with lots of butter.
Yeah, that's.
I knew they would put a smile on
a little
your face.
Bacon fat.
Yeah. But with lots of butter.
Yeah, rutabagas. That's pretty good for you. Not many calories there.
No, rutabagas are supposed to be good. We could do a whole show on the sunchokes and that phenomenon. Jerusalem artichokes, I think they're called also. But they're also called sunchokes.
Oh, yeah.
This is a Native American, a native species. And again, it looks like small potatoes or rutabagas in the ground, but it's perennial. And the early colonists basically survived on them. Looking at the Native Americans, and they taught them how to use them. But they're rapidly becoming a new phenomenon. A lot of people like them.
Well, we have some gardeners that have advocated for them and brought us access to some.
Mine died.
They report that they're pretty invincible.
Yeah, that's except in the hands of Mark, I guess.
I don't know. That'll be a key issue if Alex is accepted by the gardening community. If he shows up, gets some sunchokes or some, and he'll pretend that he's excited about it for a while, and then and then he'll just kind of lose track of them. But then they'll come back and check on them. So if they're going to, he'll lose the sunchoke
Credibility
group pursuing him. He'll have to give them some attention and try some recipes.
I guess I'll give an update on my peppers too when we come back. We'll be right back. Again, this is the Easter edition of Millburgers Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Millburgers Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, the Easter edition of our show. This is a pre-recording today, as Millburgers is closed today for Easter. As we were discussing earlier, a lot of vegetables over at Millburgers. Mark pointed out to me a lot of peppers as well, and I have some updates on my peppers at home. They're blooming. They're starting to really grow out, but they've been getting a lot of.
What kind do you have?
I have a green bell pepper and I think a pimento. I want to say.
No, that's what it was.
Yeah,
I remember when you had it on the porch with us. So yeah.
So they've been growing pretty good, pretty well. But I think the issue I've noticed now is I don't know if they're ants or little black bugs, if they're coming and eating up on the leaves. So I'm not sure what to do about that.
Are they cucumber beetles or?
I don't know. They're tiny, just little.
Cucumber beetles are going to be green and black, or with black spots.
Uh-huh. The tomatoes constantly get bugged by everything, but we kind of think of the peppers as being less susceptible. Mm-hmm. But banana peppers are doing great too. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the jalapenos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's all kinds of peppers. Boy, you can do. There was some on the transplants. The Tam.
Tam mild, yeah. Tam mild.
Now, they're okay. I like a little something with a little kick to it. Although I'm a Yankee, I don't want Serranos, but I like jalapenos. So.
Yeah, it's funny how I never thought I would get used to them, but I have.
I was as I mentioned, I was having hamburgers and sausages. We were having a picnic, and I was eating the jalapenos raw, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. And everyone was going, "What?" And I said, "No, I really like them raw like that." So, anyway, we had all different kinds there. So. Check them out at Millburgers. But I was going to say, so if you do see pests, what we would recommend is use a spinosad. At least start with that, and then if that doesn't work, then you, like John Goodman said in an arachnid, I have to go to my private stock. So you have to bump it up. Well, we like malathion, usually for insects, for chemicals, or what one do you like? 7?
Well, in the old days, I used to, but the alternate, the one that we used to alternate with 7 in the peaches insecticide. I want to say it started with an L, but I'm not. I'm not sure that's.
No, because we used lindane on bark beetles, so that was pretty strong stuff. Yeah. So it wasn't.
Well,
that wasn't lindane.
Stink bugs, we use it on all the time. It's the one insecticide that I've had pretty good luck with on stink bugs. Boy, they're tough to control. Because they're large and they move around a lot, and so that kind of, it's kind of disappointing to a gardener that likes to rely on organic controls or just no controls, because we can do a lot of our gardening without using many pesticides, but if you got you got a lot of stink bugs. Good luck. You can. What was the Jerry used to grow the blackberries, and stink bugs used to infect them, and they would leave a remnant of the stink on the taste. And one time he gave this was a number of years ago, and he gave Milton a batch of wonderful. They looked just beautiful, and Milton gave them to his mother.
Oh, no.
And they of course had the remnant stink bug, and I'm sure Jerry knew it because he was on the edge of a giggles the whole time. But, needless to say, Milton did not take very many fruits or vegetables from Jerry after that.
After that, forever, almost. Alex, what the stink bug does is it sticks its proboscis into the fruit and then injects a chemical that dissolves the interior so it can suck it up.
Yeah,
through that same
basically
process.
a digestive juice.
Yeah. So, and it's stinky. And they do it to peaches.
Peaches and blackberries are really...
Yeah, the ones and yes, it's not... You'll remember it ever, forever and ever.
Yeah, very, very unpleasant. But another thing is the spinach. I was wondering how we haven't heard many reports from gardeners on using the spinach. It's doing really well. I've got some. I really haven't used it much either. I've been relying on Brussels sprouts and some of the other greens. Carrots. Gosh, I love those fresh carrots. Mm-hmm. They're very tasty and nutritious. And let's see, what else have we started to harvest now? The potatoes.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how they're doing. They took it on the chin, just like the tomatoes did in that wind, in that cold weather. So it'll be kind of interesting to see. They have, looks like they basically recovered again, and are growing stronger. We generally start harvesting potatoes when they start blooming. The plants bloom, and it should be any time now. And then we finish the harvest when the tops brown up. We don't want to leave them in the potatoes fruit in the ground too long. I kind of make a Mark laugh every time because I make the same face because we say, well, we don't want it. The soil gets soggy, and the potatoes rot. Yeah. Well, of course, the soil hasn't gotten soggy for so many years here now. I said, maybe we could quit talking about it.
What is this soggy you keep mentioning? I don't know what that is.
But those new potatoes, boy, they're hard to beat from the garden, and they should be starting pretty soon.
Yeah,
as soon as the blooms start.
Didn't we have somebody call in about they're having trouble with their onions? Was that a couple of weeks ago? Or
yeah, and
ago?
I can't remember what it was about. Oh, I know. The onions were going to seed.
Yeah, early. Okay, yeah, that's what it was.
Well, we didn't... I asked them if they were the Red Creole, because I had a few that were going to seed, too. I think it's related to that erratic weather we've had.
I think. Much like we had last year. It's very erratic. I used to call it the roller coaster weather we had last year, and I think we had similar weather this year.
Yeah. And we usually say, well, onions are so predictable because they grow fast, and as long as you fertilize them a lot, they're very productive, and you can eat the greens, and they flop over when they're ready to be harvested. But then if you got hot weather and cold weather and dry and moisture, you get it messes up all that theory, and so you have to kind of just play it by ear. Just use as many as you can, and if any of them show any kind of tendency to have a seed head on them, you want to use those the first, because they don't. It's not really possible to get them to change their mind and go back to a normal pattern, and they're dependent on the day length too.
Yeah.
So that makes it even stranger trying to predict what they're going to do. So I think it's a combination of the weather and day length and how those onions perform. The good news is that they generally do well, and especially the varieties that we get access to. So they should be going strong. It'd be good to get a report from our gardeners.
Yeah, it would be, because it's kind of fallen off from our minds and also reports from the gardeners.
I think then that was probably part of that was that freeze spell we had, and the heat, all those weather conditions that made everything unpredictable.
Well, it had been warm, and then all of a sudden it got chilly, and then warm again. So
another weather-related, is it time for a break?
Not yet, but I was looking at this next week's weather, and it's supposed to get down to low 50s as well. So.
Well, there you go.
More roller coaster.
One of the things that we credit to weather and predicting what's going to happen, the recovery of the snapdragons and that spring bloom period, they are spectacular right now, especially if you're able to find some rockets. And they, just suddenly they looked all beat up, and the blooms were all brown and the foliage and everything. But just as every single year, they came back, and the bloom, if they're even in a container, they've got the stalks of foliage coming up, and then these big color pods going way up, and the bright colors, the reds and the oranges. They look so much better in the fall than they do. In the spring than they do in the fall.
I will admit, I gave up on them. So
that's what a lot of gardeners do, and that's why I did my articles and in the radio. I tried to say, don't give up too soon. They're going to be spectacular.
Well, I did, because they were looking pretty sad. So. I know, because I see them around town too. So yeah. I'm kicking myself. So.
Outside of Milberger's,
right?
The bed,
right when you come in,
bed, yeah. They really look nice there too. Well, along with them, our calendula recovered. I was worried about them. Looked like they were done for. There was nothing green above the ground, but they came back, and the blooms. When I wrote about them in my article, I said that they've fulfilled their role as we talk about them warming up the winter garden. Of course, then I had to say something about, well, not that we ever needed that this year. We needed the garden to be warmed up, but. Yeah. But they really look good. They also fill part of the gap because the snapdragons look so good, we've hesitated to put a lot of zinnias in so far. And the wholesale supply has not been great on zinnias yet.
No, not yet. I was there this morning, and they promised the zinnias were coming in. They had told me that the vinca were already there, the cora, and the extra protection. I forget what the other variety for
I never even get beyond the cora.
Yeah,
the cora works so well.
Yeah, and I said, yeah, but what about the zinnias? And they said, well, they're coming. I went, oh, okay.
Well, you know, another one that's really making a good show out there in the garden are the sweet peas. They kind of snuck up on us, and they're really blooming up a storm. And what a wonderful fragrance they have. They make great cut flowers too. You get a lot of gardeners very skillful at cutting them. It's something you have to learn a little.
No, this is not me.
Yeah, because they're not the simplest stems. The zinnias are really simple. You know.
On the sweet peas, it's kind of a twiny little stem and kind of hard. Yeah, I guess you need a small scissors for that. That would be helpful.
And then small bouquets really work better than the big, massive bouquets. But they're coming. It's pretty exciting, the garden situation right now. Everything is recovering, and we've got 2 seasons of flowers available, and 2 seasons of vegetables available, both the winter annuals and the summer annuals. So fill all the space and take advantage of it to put the ones that you like the best in place and enjoy them. Now, of course, that if the zinnias aren't available or your favorite plants our wholesale market producers is still not recovered from those.
Yeah, yes. I think that for the last couple of years, they're kind of behind or trying to catch up. That's a better word. Trying to catch up with what they had been on the commercial market. So,
in the meantime, we'll just have to do the best we can. And the good news is there's lots of choices even now, and especially at a wonderful nursery like Milberger's, where of course the gardeners at Milberger's are kind of demanding. They're used to the best plants, and they used to a set of choices that allow us to have a lot of freedom into planting what we want, what we like best, and makes gardening more fun.
Well, I was going to say again. I had mentioned before that I've been there. I was there this morning, and the blue flower one. Now I'm doing it.
Plumbago.
The perennial. Plumbago. When we were there Saturday and Sunday, there were a whole large area of brand new plumbagos. Well, this morning there were like only 4 left.
Oh no!
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was. They were getting some more in, but it's one of those plants where people really love, and it is quite usually dependable, unless we get a really severe freeze. That they're pretty dependable.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get out of control,
and they come back.
Yeah. That's what I said. Sometimes they get out of control, but I was kind of shocked. I kind of looked, and there was a big hole right in front of our porch where we do the show, and I'm like, what was there?
Well,
it was like the plumbago's all gone.
Oh,
now it seems reasonable to me. Now we've been doing the show for 20 plus years. It seems reasonable if we asked the Milberger's management to reserve the plants in front of our
for display
porch
only
there, and not only sell them outside so that we could enjoy them.
Yeah.
It would not be an unreasonable choice.
We need a scenic view for the show.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
So good. So long, Calvin.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back with our Easter edition of Millburgers Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Welcome back to Millburgers Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, the Easter edition. As a reminder, Millburgers is closed today. We hope you're enjoying your time with family and friends and loved ones. Alex Escobar with Dr. Calvin Finch and Mark Peterson. Again, this is our pre-recording, so we're just here talking about, I guess, some Easter planting or Easter flowers that people may enjoy. Or
You know, another issue that we, when we left the show last weekend, we had some information from the CPS about their rebate. Did we clarify that, Mark? Did we get any more information?
No, I haven't gotten hold of my contact over there. But I'm still hoping that it's still available, the rebate. I was a bit concerted that when I tried to find the application online, they were directing me to say that this page is no longer available. So I was a little worried about this. I have to talk to my contact over there. Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to do that. So typically, the Green Shade rebate starts in October 1st and ends April 30th. So we'll have to find out if it's still going on, because that's a great program.
Gosh, yes, and it's not very restrictive, but environmentally powerful. If you plant the right trees in the right spot, you can save a lot of energy, and it's almost as CPS Energy is also kind of widening their environmental scope there, and addressing the general desirability of tree planting, not just for the specifics, the environmental specifics, but also for climate change and things like that too. That can be an important part of having some impact on climate change. So, it's always a great program, and one that we need to support when we can. And it's good for us as gardeners.
Yeah, your article last week talked about shade trees and small trees, and you had all of my favorites out there on the large shade tree, and then I had to compliment you tremendously. You had the Brazil, or AKA Candelia. That is a fabulous tree for me. I'd like to see that promoted more.
Yeah, and then we had a pretty good discussion about where in the heck do you find those Brazil?
Yeah.
Because in my neighborhood, they grow by themselves. They germinate, the berries spread, and the birds contribute.
The birds spread the berries, yes.
But a lot of neighborhoods, they're not easy to get started, and so I haven't seen them in nurseries very often.
No.
But you said that there's some.
You see them occasionally, particularly those smaller independent nurseries that specialize in native plants, and you can see them every so often, not a whole lot. And I would encourage everyone to scoop those up if you can. It's a beautiful small tree that fits into a lot of our modern landscapes. Likes full sun, got to have full sun. Yeah. That might be a problem, but
it's kind of exciting to that a lot of them are about 12, 14 feet tall.
Yeah.
And always amazes me when those big, I'll be working in it or putting something in the shed, and then I'll notice that there's a white-winged dove nest right there with the doves sitting there staring at me. They love the birds. Love it for habitat, for cover, and of course for the berries. The berries are popular, but also for just protection and finding insects and seeds.
It's a very attractive tree. It's in the springtime. It's a lime green. It's a Kelly green. You can always pick them out in the woods if you're walking along in a native area.
It's evergreen, isn't it?
For most years, but I'm not going to say completely.
Yeah.
It's not like a live oak or a shrub. They might be evergreen, but it will lose its leaves. But for most years, it's only a partial losing of the leaves.
Yeah, and that was one of the amazing trees too. That was on the CPS list.
Yeah,
exactly. Almost anything you can think of is on there, including citrus, which amazes.
Yes, I was astounded, speechless. That I saw citrus on there. Oh my! But it goes to that important factor that you mentioned just earlier is kind of expanding into not only just shade, and that's important, and that's a key feature for CPS Energy, but also this wider ecological what do you want to call it? Viewpoint, and so. Much of the trees that they have kind of a dual purpose. A Naqua is one I'm thinking of, where you have some shade, and then you also have the flowers, pollinators, and then the fruit for the birds. Kind of a interdisciplinary tree. There's many different features.
The Anaqua's a little tamer than the Brazil.
Yeah.
You don't good. It doesn't jump you and give thorn stick you.
Yeah, but you definitely don't want to have an Anaqua over the driveway.
Oh yeah.
Or a patio. That might be a little difficult.
Oh, well, you've heard that story of the. And I apologize for not remembering her name. One of the shopkeepers downtown at the one of the classic areas with the shops, the small shops all over, and they've got a lot of Anaquas growing.
Oh, okay, yeah, yes, I remember the story now in La Villita.
Yeah, that's it.
And what did she? She heard us talk about it, or
well, no, she got involved with the small trees, the process of
in a giveaway or something.
Yeah, no, she was doing trying to help gardeners become hobbyists.
Oh,
so that they could grow the miniaturized trees. And she did some really neat classes for us, and she got involved in the radio show and all, and then we kind of naturally extended, and we talking about how neat the Anaqua was and what it contributed to the environment and the birds, and there was just everything about it was wonderful. And she got this look on her face and suggested that if it was so wonderful that I should bring a broom and a shovel and come and clean out the berries out of her shop with where everybody tracked them in. Our relationship never was as good after that.
They can pose a problem. But the birds do love them, and it is a beautiful flower in the springtime.
Oh gosh, and really dense.
Yeah.
And another one of those evergreens that it will drop its leaves. Dropped its leaves this
past year with that cold snap. They were evergreen throughout most of the winter, and then a couple of cold snaps, and all of a sudden they were all brown, and then they had left the tree, and the tree was barren. So they will react to cold weather, but I was surprised they kept their leaves on as long as they did. I mean, it was through January, I think.
Well, another issue as long as we're on those trees.
We got
cover. Do we have time?
we got about a minute left before we
just a
top
minute?
of the hour. Yeah.
When we come back, I want Mark to cover that topic again about the white oak family and how it relates to oak wilt.
Gotcha.
Because it's the idea has changed, and its role in oak wilt, it seems to me, has changed over the last 25 years.
Can't wait to hear it. But we'll be right back with Millburgers Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. This is the Easter edition. We'll see you on the other side of the news.
We're back with Millburgers Gardening South Texas, live from Millburgers Landscaping and Nursery at 1604 in Bulverde Road. Come out to visit or call us at 210-308-8867. That's 210-308-8867. And now back to Millburgers Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Welcome back to Millburgers Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Alex Escobar with Dr. Calvin Finch and Mark Peterson. Just a reminder, Millburgers is closed today as it is Easter, so we're pre-recording our Easter edition of the show today. But we're here talking about, recently we were talking about the CPS tree energy rebate, shade energy rebate. And I know Calvin wanted to hear Mark talk about the
oak wilt.
So, I just go on and on. I could probably fill in the next whole hour on that, but I won't. I'll spare everyone.
Also relate, what is this? It seems like we've had kind of a pause in the oak wilt action last few years, and then also it seems like the role of the white oaks has changed, or at least the description of what the role has changed. And so that it'd be good, I think, if you could cover that.
And so you mentioned a pause, and that is very correct. We looked at, or Texas Forest Service and the U.S. Forest Service did an audit of all the centers of the past 20 to 30 years. And what they found, at least in parts of Bexar County, were that there were no new centers, or very limited new centers. And most of the centers were centers that had been...
When you say centers, infection centers?
Infection centers of the oak wilt. Thank you, Calvin. And just a small little explanation of that. Live oaks tend to grow in groups and called motts, M-O-T-T-E-S, and then these motts are connected to other motts. And so an infection center? That's correct. There we go. An infection center will greatly expand over time between these motts. So what they had found is this over the past 20, 30 years, there's not been a lot of new centers. And we theorized that it has been the aggressive program of telling everyone not to prune during certain times of the year and paint everything on the oaks. And so that has limited the amount of new infection centers. So that's why we've gone, yay, we've been successful. So you haven't heard about it as much as you did back in the 80s. On the other hand, there's been some growing research that our advice of planting white oaks in these areas, and those would include chinkpin oak, bur oak, Mexican white oak, Lacey's oak, post oak. Members of the white oak family that are known to be resistant may develop connections with the live oaks and the red oaks over time. These may be functional. We thought they weren't functional, but there's some evidence, not a lot of evidence, that some of these...
So it's not just a laboratory kind of thing.
No, it's not a laboratory. We're seeing it in real world situations that maybe there was some connection between the two. Because you could, in the past, you'd be able to just go watch all the live oaks died in a field, and then the only thing remaining were post oaks or chinkpin oaks, and they'd be totally alive, totally healthy, doing wonderfully. So what we're trying to encourage now is as many adapted native or adapted non-native trees that are non-oaks as well as white oaks. So we're trying to increase the percentage. So if I was let's say, in Hollywood Park, in the area around where there's a large oak wilt center, that I would still do my chinkpin oaks, but also some cedar elms, and maybe the drought-tolerant net-leaf hackberry, which is an excellent hackberry, and you find them up in the hill country. They're not like the hackberries or sugarberries that we see in other parts of the county or city. These are very drought-tolerant. Cedar elms, Mexican sycamores, these types of plants so they're non-oak species to increase that amount. I'm still going to say plant your white oaks because this is an oak juniper biome. The whole region stretches from the hill country to California coast is dominated by oaks and junipers. And so, yeah, you want to stay within that region as much as possible. So that's it's a good thing we haven't heard a lot about it, because everyone is doing a great job at painting their wounds. But the third leg of any management program is replacement species, and we'd like to encourage everyone to plant a little bit more of the non-oak species. Yeah. That's a thumbnail sketch of it, of what's going on. But I encourage everyone to go to the website, texasoakwilt.org, and it gets all the latest information on that.
As long as we're pursuing that oak wilt information, has there been, for a while, seemed like there was some real interesting claims made for some new treatments just based on some organic materials that were relatively easy to use, and had the claims made seemed to be that they were just as effective as the propiconazole or whatever the other treatment.
He likes to bring me into these arguments, and then I suffer the wrath. Now, so it has been claimed that cornmeal can be used in oak wilt.
How about Cheerios?
No. I prefer Cheerios, not cornmeal. No cornflakes. What the cornmeal was doing was actually producing a beneficial fungus that would outcompete the oak wilt fungus. And we call it IR, induced resistance. And there's been some research in the UK that has some positive benefits that have been shown using that. Very specific mulch or the cornmeal have been shown to produce some results. It's just anecdotal to me. I've not seen any scientific research comparing many different treatments and seeing which is the most efficacious, and then what are the rates of therapeutic treatment. We don't say cure; we say therapeutic treatment. So I haven't. There is no evidence of that. I'm keeping an open mind. I would love to see someone do that, but. I had some questions.
So far, no definite evidence that you can tell.
No. I keep worrying that, or I keep thinking that oak wilt is a vascular fungus. How do you get another fungus into the tree to defeat the oak wilt fungus? The oak wilt fungus moves quite rapidly. And the tree knows it's being attacked without giving it too anthropomorphic characteristics. So the tree knows that it's being under attack, and it's trying to shut it. It tried to compartmentalize the fungus within itself, within the tree. So what it's actually doing is it's actually shutting down its entire water conducting system, and it commits suicide. Trying to save itself. It's so tragic. How do you get me on this topic? But it is kind of tragic in a way. But the fungus moves quite rapidly through the tree, and that poses a lot of the treatment problems, the management problems. In the Midwest, they went out 50 feet and dug a trench. Worked perfectly well. We tried that here in Texas. Didn't work at all. We expanded it out to 75 feet. A little bit better, but still not very good rates of success. We've pushed it out to 100, 110 feet. And then we've also had to increase the depth. In the Midwest, 3 feet was fine. In Texas, you have to go 4 to 5 to 6 feet.
Gosh, that's not easy digging.
It's not easy digging. Yeah. And there is a lot of times, a lot of people, a lot of ranchers go, I don't have the time, the energy, or the resources to do this. And, I said, well, you can always hope that your trees have what is, on average, a 20% survival rate, natural survival rate. So out of 100 trees, 100 live oaks, you may have 18 to 20 survive naturally.
Mm-hmm. Well, you kind of hit on that topic. It's the situation with oak wilt is almost as much a social topic as it is a horticultural topic. And if anybody has been through it in a neighborhood, that really brings it home, which we experienced it. Yeah, if it's whose fault was it? How conscientious do you have to be, and how far ahead of the problem do you have to get started and address the issue, and who's the most responsible? It can just change relationships and huge expenses, and not at all simple problem. Not just a problem of science and horticulture, but also a problem of responsibility.
Yeah, if it was just a science, it would be so much easier. My life would have been so much easier in the Texas Forest Service, but you're right. It's not just a matter of science. It's very community-oriented on that. And, I know you experienced some of the fun involved.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And I had multiple experiences in this. And it's interesting. Now that there's also a great debate, which we won't go into a lot, but it's a great, real philosophical debate of whether this is a natural phenomenon. It's nature. Nature is actually trying to reset the balance of ecological regions in predominance in the area, i.e., the grassland's trying to take over again. And less trees, more grass. And I'm like,
I'm like climate change arguments.
Well, that I'm going, well, you forget about humans. And they're a very important part of that whole situation.
Well, and then we always have to keep reminding folks that the easiest thing is to intercept the disease by painting the wounds.
Mm-hmm.
Just
so
relatively
easy.
simple situation that pretty clear responsibility. So as long as we do that, we stay pretty safe.
And I am very happy about that. I was very happy when they did this audit and looking at these centers and most, or whether or not they're old centers or new centers. And I was very happy and very pleased that most of the sites that I discovered back in the 80s and 90s were old centers, and they had expanded, but there was very minor or very little new centers. And I said, well, at least I did my job partially, and made sure that I wrote all the ordinances for all the cities in the 6 counties in this area. The city councils sometimes expanded them, but for the most part, they all have on their books that you have to paint oaks, and you have to paint oaks within 30 minutes. So I think that regulatory aspect did help in slowing down the disease. So very happy about that.
Yeah, it's one of the another one of those interesting gardening tasks and environmental situations. So again, mobilizing to through some simple action to protect a lot of people's interest, and not to mention the environment's interest. So. Well, what do you think, Alex?
I think we need to talk about some more happy topics.
I think just one question. When it comes to, when you say painting trees, what are you painting it with, or what is that?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter?
Yeah, you could paint it with an oil-based paint, water-based.
Just something to seal that,
just
that area.
Okay. Yeah.
A pretty
Elmer's glue.
Simple process. Now, if you want to, are a little frustrated, maybe your neighbors have harassed you a little bit about you not painting wounds appropriately, then they can do like one of my neighbors did and paint all the wounds and create a lot more wounds and paint them all with purple paint. Mm-hmm. And then so the neighbors that were harassing him about doing his share of protecting the neighborhood from oak wilt, they all got to enjoy purple painted pruning.
The color is not, what do you want to say? One color is not, it takes advantage over another color. So pink is just as good as black. Maybe that would have been a better color than purple. Who knows? It just doesn't matter. Yeah. So I wanted so much 40 years ago to say, I wish I could invent a water-based Krylon, spray Krylon. That'd be so wonderful. And then Krylon did it. And it was such a great idea. I was going to make millions. Not to be. Let's talk about something happy.
Yeah, let's do that.
Well, is Easter a happy time? Can be, I guess.
Yes,
I think for the most part. Yeah,
yes.
It's a time when you can address issues, so that's consistent with the oak wilt.
Yeah, no, what I was going to say. So, I had a couple of notes written down, and talk about design. I always like to talk about design. I'm not a designer, but it goes back to my time with SAWS, San Antonio Water System, and we kept talking about what would be an ideal design to save water, increase your pollinators, and minimize your water and your maintenance. So we came up with a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So 1/3 lawn of your entire property. 1/3 of your entire property would be in lawn. 1/3 would be in decks or pervious patio, a rock face, a flagstone. And then 1/3 would be in beds. And that you include your pollinators, as well as your trees and things like that. So that we always try to promote that, and that goes back, and you can find examples of that in the GardenStyleSanAntonio.com. It's the SAWS page website for anything gardening, and it talks about all the programs too for the gardening programs, rebates and coupons and things like that. So I always think about that as kind of your starting point. The other starting point, which we always like to mention, is Greg Grant and Roger Holmes. Yeah, Roger Holmes.
Yeah.
Book. Is it Texas Landscaping?
I don't ever remember the name of the book. Yeah. I just remember that, just like you, that
it's on sale at Millburgers.
Yeah, it's on sale, but unfortunately,
Greg really hit on it. It's just the issue of solving problems in a landscape, a new landscape especially, or one that needs revision, can be overwhelming if you look at it as a big whole, as everything. But what Greg has done for us, and Roger Holmes, is to break up those problem-solving situations into small pieces. So you just look at each piece. You look at the shade, the side of the house in the shade, or you look at the insect. Dealing with the insects, or you might look at protecting butterflies, protecting your plants from the other insects and things. All those kind of topics, and when you do that, it gets to be much less of a problem and much more satisfying, and you can kind of pick and choose which issues are priorities, and which are, and also they relate to we talk about those gift certificates with the nurseries like Millburgers, and how important that can be, and how that fits in with when you break those tasks into the doable little parts. How they can be addressed by gift certificates. They can be addressed by less than overwhelming mental exercises too, and not frustrating. And you can make them projects that folks can deal with together, or that they can worry about separately. So that they can get some satisfaction that way, or just make it into a task that our whole family can address it. But that is translated into, I don't know which edition of Craig's book is, but it's available at Millburgers.
Right, and it's right there, right near the counter. It's such a wonderful book because it breaks it down in little bites and then gives you step-by-step within those little bites. It's perfect.
Well, and we don't want to understate either that Greg is a wonderful writer, and the photography is good in the book. So also his there's hardly anybody that is a better horticulturist than he is either. So that's another wonderful source of information.
And we have to say, Dr. Grant.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, he just got his doctorate, his PhD, so it is now a doctorate.
Who would have thought he'd ever get it?
Not me.
Well, all right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back with our Easter edition of Millburgers Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Welcome back to the Easter edition of Millburgers Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. As a reminder that Millburgers is closed today. We're here pre-recording Alex Escobar, Dr. Calvin Finch, and Mark Peterson. Are there any other topics you want to touch base on? Something?
Just even though they're closed today, do you want to tell the folks some of the upcoming sales or the ongoing sales?
Yes, and these sales will be good up until Monday, April 6th. So on Monday, you'll be able to go through. Millburgers has their best selection of roses available. Modern roses, known for their large blooms and strong stems. Assorted lantanas as well. Mm-hmm. The lantanas regularly $9.99, on sale $8.88.
All of them?
Number one, or are you talking about the lantanas?
Yes. There's several different varieties, and we're just wondering if that was all of them.
Assorted.
You said assorted? Okay,
yes,
great.
Assorted.
It does say assorted.
Begonias on sale, and number 4 pot regularly $179, on sale $8 for $12.
Is there any variation there, or are they all the smaller?
The small ones, the bronze leaf, type? The bronze leaf and the green leaf. Yes. There's no other.
No, just those.
Okay.
We have petunias on sale, and a number 4-inch pot regularly $179, on sale $6 for $10.
And there, a number of them are the wave. If you like, aren't they the wave petunia? If you like that, I that's my favorite petunia. Mm-hmm. The colors are intense, and then the growth habit is kind of spreading and unusual compared. Doesn't mound as much as most of the petunias.
Yeah, it's perfect for a container, hanging basket, or even a ground container.
Yeah, it almost defies the wind.
Yes.
Yeah, there's nothing fragile about a wave petunia.
We also have, we talked about them earlier, the plumbagos are on sale. A number 1 regularly $9.99, on sale $8.88. There's also.
I noticed that the fertilizer.
Yeah, I'm just pointing to you.
Right there.
The radio listeners can see me pointing it to Alex.
The premium lawn and garden fertilizer, a 40-pound bag, which covers 7,600 square feet, only $49.99.
And that is the one we recommend for the lawn. And we're getting into that lawn fertilization time. When you mow real grass twice, then it's time to fertilize the lawn. And that usually is sometime after the 15th of April. The other thing is that I have just had the best luck with that fertilizer for vegetables and for flowers. And trees, it works fine, too. It's 50% of nitrogen is fast release and 50% is slow. Mark, do you remember how slow is it? Does it depend on the weather conditions and all?
It is moisture, soil moisture.
3 to 4 months, or what is it?
Yeah. So it is, I forget exactly what form it is. So in order to make it slow release, you can do several different things on it, on the chemical formulation. I'm not going to get into everything about it. But so it's usually either an organism rather, working on it, or it's a soil water. which will start to break it down. So the other one is it's watered in, and it's almost dissolving. A salt form.
So the length varies depending on those conditions. Yeah, but what a good source of fertilizer, and
it is. Just want to reiterate that we usually recommend the latter part of this month after you mowed the real grass. By real grass, we mean your regular turf grass, not your rescue grass, not your POA, your wild bluegrass, real grass.
Now, there's no fertilizer is inexpensive nowadays, and when even this one that we are promoting is relatively expensive. But the way we usually determine the value of a fertilizer is how much does the nitrogen that it provides cost, and you compare the nitrogen cost in a given product to another product. And I think if you do the math on this 1959, you're going to find that this is one of the best bargains around, even though it is all fertilizer is relatively expensive. So, and in a store's store's easy. You just roll up the top and put a little weight on it, and it's easy to use it over 2 or 3 years.
And I also see from the advertisement that it has some iron and sulfur in it, so that's
true.
Good. Yeah,
and that's really important in our area and our soils. Now, another topic. And I was trying to remember where this came up. Oh, we've had several gardeners that came up to the at the studio and they asked about acidifying their soil, and I related some of the past. We've had some really big commercial operations that have attempted to acidify soil so that they could do a better job of growing fruits or Christmas trees or
the really big operations occurred up in Kerr County and Bandera County in relation to the apples. They're trying to grow the apple industry in that area, and they used a tremendous amount of agricultural sulfur, and
it didn't work.
It didn't work. The short answer is it didn't work. It wasn't efficient. How about that?
Yeah, you get a temporary effect, kind of a peak, some peaks and valleys, but you didn't accomplish. And these are pretty skillful groups that were good scientists and good commercial producers that were involved in that process. So we have kind of retreated. Well, retreated maybe it's not the best word for it. We have moved into a situation where we say, well, we will take advantage of the conditions that we have. Mm-hmm. And this 1959 with the iron and the sulfur in it does the job. Mm-hmm. Usually, it's the other part of that doing the job is picking the right plants to grow.
Correct. If you want to grow acid-loving or acid soil-loving plants, your blueberries, your gardenias. What's the other one? The flowering one. I can't remember. You're really going to have to acidify the soil. Unfortunately, it's a short-term effect because a lot of times you're using our wonderful salt water and it's wonderful. Unfortunately, it's alkaline. And so you kind of, over time, you may negate the effects of all the chemicals you put into the container or the bed, and it becomes more or high pH as you go along.
Plus, the potency of the soil and the reserve power of the soil seems to be pretty strong.
Right. And so what we mean by that is it takes a lot of chemicals to acidify our soil because it's so much lime in the soil to begin with.
Yeah, it's not like a sandy soil with very little potency locked up in it. It's got all the materials there for a permanent alkaline situation, and it has. Still working on us to teach us that lesson, but so far the soil has been winning that battle.
Yeah, as we like to say, it has a high buffering capacity. Was the terminology you and I learned in school, which means that you can add a lot of sulfur and try to acidify it, and the soil kind of just scoffs.
And when we say that quite often, of course, it's sometimes right after we've said we don't have much soil and our soil doesn't have much structure, and so then we have to say, but it is alkaline, true and potent alkaline, and so it sounds a little contradictory at times too. But you can have both, which our soil shows that you can have both.
It goes back to the plants, just like you mentioned. The native plants are well suited to our soils, and so we try to use those as much as possible. And there are some adapted non-natives that are also very good. But you want those plants that can really tolerate our soil and weather conditions. I was going to add one to. I was working on a list, and all of a sudden I turned the corner and I saw all these wonderful yuccas, red yuccas. And I went, I forgot to add that to the list. And such a beautiful plant that produces lovely flowers that attract hummingbirds. And so I had to add that to a list I was working on.
Yeah, it is a good plant. We used to promote it more than we do now. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that lost some interest, or just one of those cycles that we go through.
That's what I was thinking. And that's what made me think about it. I went, I hadn't thought about the red yucca for a while.
Yeah. Now the deer occasionally will eat the blooms, but does not eat the foliage, so the plant does recover. But it's a plant that fits into our landscape. Mark, talk about how much, Alex, before we have a break here.
About 3 or 4 minutes before a break.
Okay. I was going to see if Mark could cover a little bit about that concept of mixing the when we talk about a shrub border in the shade. Mark is an advocate for having mixed sizes and plants in there rather than a uniform, the disciplined, uniform planting. That's a good way to describe it. So often people want to plant a single species, a monoculture, if you will, just along a border, and a lot of times, just from a design perspective, you may lose one or two of those plants, and all of a sudden now you have big holes in that buffer. Well, a much better way to do it, and it comes from the idea and the ecological philosophy. It goes to diversity breeds stability. So you have a wider spacing of a primary. That sounds like a significant philosophy of community development.
No, we're just going to stay with plants today.
I'll have an Irish whiskey, please.
So that you have wider gaps between the primary species you want, but then you're filling it in with maybe a secondary species that may be a little lower, and then at another height, you're using a different plant, and you're not necessarily then in a straight line with all these. You're making maybe a diagonal line and then filling in different gaps with a different species. So that what you're doing is creating a formalized natural edge. I don't know if you remember that we used to call that where all the wildlife was in the edge, not in the open, not in the forest, but at the edge. So what you're doing is this is kind of a manicured, formal edge. What you're doing. So different species and different species at different heights.
And it's kind of consistent with my philosophy about that a desirable landscape is a compromised landscape between one that's golf course-like versus one that's a weldscape.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a neat, attractive, disciplined landscape, but you can also modify it a bit and moderate it so that you can maximize or nearly maximize the wildlife capabilities of it, which makes gardening so much more fun and fascinating, especially when you're in an area like San Antonio where the bird population and the butterfly population is just unbelievable and easy to enjoy and easy to observe if you've got the landscape to bring them in and maximize the needs. So
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take one more break for today. We're going to be right back with Millburgers Gardening South Texas, the Easter edition, right here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Welcome back to Millburgers Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, the Easter edition. Alex Escobar with Dr. Calvin Finch and Mark Peterson. I almost said give us a call, but again, this is a pre-recording. Millburgers is closed today, so we hope you're enjoying your Easter with family, friends, and loved ones. Calvin, that was on an interesting, very fun topic.
Well, yeah, I noticed on Mark's notes that he had put down rain, and you had mentioned that the rain was scheduled for yesterday and even the day before yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering if there was any kind of special messages you think we should give to the gardening audience on how to deal with this rain. Is it? I don't think the forecast was real heavy, so maybe it's not a major problem. Maybe we can just rely on the winter weeds to respond like it did in some neighborhoods.
Yeah, so all of a sudden, if you notice that, the plants really perked up with a little bit of rain that we had a couple of weeks ago. But so did the weeds.
Yeah.
You know, bed straw, what's the other name we have for it? All of a sudden, it was there. I hadn't seen too much of it, and all of a sudden with that rain.
Yeah. You know what else is? Thistle has come up, too, which is on your little animation.
Yeah, so I had some people ask me what it was. I went, well, that's plantain or thistle. And I'm going, oh, okay. But I hadn't seen it all winter long until just when we had that rain. So hopefully this is on Easter. But hopefully the weather forecast had said we were going to have rain, possibly Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, the past Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Well, so we're taping it on Wednesday, and we're supposed to have some somewhere
Thursday.
I don't see it, but Thursday was supposed to be. We were going to have a little bit more. But yeah,
do you think we'll see our two required mowing so that so we can feel comfortable doing our fertilization?
Well, after the rain, and I suspect we're going to get one at least, to hopefully two, but we need a little bit more rain. For that. But I think your idea that the remaining winter weeds will all of a sudden flower and spurt up.
Yeah, we've.
I don't think we're going to get any summer weeds. I think we're still going to get some more winter weeds.
Yeah, and the winter weeds have been relatively easy to deal with as long as you keep them mowed. We've gone so far as to call it the sustainable winter lawn.
I'm pointing to Alex. I said, yes, we have created a new term. Well, actually, Calvin and Jerry did. Sustainable lawn.
Yeah. Now
which means don't ignore the weed or ignore all the winter weeds and just mow. They're green.
I think there's a number of folks have done like I have and just stopped watering lawn. Now, of course, I do a lot of watering on the vegetables and flowers and things, but the lawn is no longer a topic of my heavy maintenance now. But I think I think we're also seeing that there's a lot of gardeners out there and homeowners, landowners that are faced with a situation of, at these 7 years or even 20 years, a lot of the trees have matured. And so we've got some tough-looking grasses or lawns out there, and there'll be a lot of folks that'll say, gosh, we're finally going to get some more rain now, so I'm going to put in a new lawn. Well, be careful about putting in a new lawn now, and make sure you've assessed whether there's enough sun to support that new lawn. Yeah. And maybe, and there's a lot of options other than to just put in a lawn that's not going to survive. But gosh, Mark and I say if you don't have 6 hours of sun, it doesn't. Yeah. Your lawn is not going to survive.
And that's 6 hours of direct sunlight.
Yeah, and I don't know how many times I've been in a situation where somebody has said, "Oh yeah, we're in full sun," and then you can see the trees are right there, right, the big wonderful oak trees and things there. But But if you do have that, make that assessment, and if you're close or you've got less sun than is required for a healthy lawn, consider some of those other choices. Mark described some of them before, but we're talking about ground covers that are shade tolerant, and those shade tolerant ground covers, as San Antonio Water System talks about, they also are use less water and easier to maintain once you get them established. So it really does, in the long run, makes your gardening a little easier. You can concentrate on the potatoes and the rutabagas.
Yeah,
and then instead of the lawn grass.
I'm always surprised at some people as they put in this wonderful Asiatic jasmine, and then they're out there mowing it every week, and I'm like, it's a ground cover. You don't have to touch it but twice a year. They want them nice and even and neat. And I'm like, okay. But that's not what I would do.
It makes it hard to putt my golf balls in there if I don't cut it.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But you're right, because we're quite often faced with folks over mowing it.
Yeah.
And they say, why is this not prospering?
Yeah.
It's 1 inch tall. That's why it's not prospering. This is a broadleaf plant here, not a Bermuda grass.
But it goes with what we're looking forward to. It's springtime.
Spring.
We have lots of hope. We have some challenges, but lots of hope.
Rain.
And that rain is one of them. But you have some opportunities. Your grass may go away, but you know what? There's some lovely ground covers. And there are many of them that we love. We have that Katie Royalea, and I like one called Dwarf Plumbago. And
Mondo grass.
There you go. The standard, not the dwarf. And even the larger Liriope.
Yeah.
Or Liriope, as some people would say.
Lots of choices on the Liriope varieties. But they all look good. And if you want some examples, just go over there in that area south of downtown, with all that older neighborhood with all the wonderful houses and the shade trees, mature shade trees. Boy, they've done a wonderful job of using all those plants that Mark's talked about in layers and rows. And they look good, and they are once they're mature, once they're established, they're easy to take care of, and they don't use much water.
All right. Well, I just want to thank everybody for listening, and thank Calvin and Mark for coming into the studio today, late in the evening, to record. This is the Easter edition of Millburgers Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. We appreciate you. Happy Easter, everybody. We'll be back live on next Saturday with more Millburgers Gardening South Texas.
And more rain, will we?
And more rain, let's hope.